Hey there, I am Plus Frames, and this is the third episode of a Mortal Kombat Podkast, which is an unofficial podcast for the MK fanatic. I just want to thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope you're doing well. I've been playing a lot of MKX lately, trying to get myself ready because I'm going to be all in when MK11 comes. Unless, of course, it has some features in it that ruin it for me. If you've listened to my last episode, you'll have an idea of what those are, but regardless, I'm still going to be playing it when it drops. For this episode, I'm going to be discussing my roster predictions and wishes, and this is of this recording, which is December 14th, 2018, and is really based off of what we've seen so far, where I think the story is heading, and tradition as well. First of all, I just want to mention that for me, the characters in the fighting game pretty much make or break the game. Sure, there may be some online features like the custom variation or online ranked system, or lack of one, that will determine how much I play the game online, but really the characters will determine how much I appreciate the game as a whole, single player modes included. The one thing I love about MK more than any other fighting game franchise are the characters and their designs, followed by the overall lore and look of the series. I'm going to start off my prediction with the characters that I expect to be playable in this game. First off, we already know that Dark Raiden, Scorpion, and Shao Kahn will be playable characters. I don't necessarily think the female Elder God type character in the trailer will be playable, but we'll see. Also, just yesterday, Colin17 on Reddit has found out that the Canadian Best Buy website actually lists Liu Kang and Sub-Zero as playable characters in MK11. I think it was safe to assume that they'd be in anyway, but it's always good to know for sure. With the inclusion of Liu Kang, I'd also expect Kitana to return alongside him as the rulers of Netherrealm, and for Kotal Khan to return as the Emperor of Outworld. I am certain that Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, Takeda, and Kung Jin will return as well. I also expect Kano to return. Either that or his son may take his place. Now, assuming I'm on the right track with the Elder God bending the timeline to punish Raiden, I think she's going to bring powerful foes back from the timeline that she believes have the capability to stop Raiden. I think that's part of why Onaga and or Shao Kahn will be appearing in this game, which is I discussed in episode 2. I also think Quan Chi will return, and yes, I know that he was killed off in MKX, but his MKX tower ending really seems like it could easily fit into the MK11 canon. It directly fits with the narrative that we've seen so far, as well as she could also just bring him back to help punish Raiden, as he is a dangerous adversary. I'm pretty sure that Shang Tsung will return, likely as a younger version of himself, possibly even a version from hundreds of years before the first Mortal Kombat game took place. I also expect at least one Shokan. I have a feeling that this Shokan will be Shiva. Goro's the most popular, but he's in a lot more games than Shiva or Kentaro, and while I absolutely love Kentaro, I think Shiva would be a better fit. Now, Shiva was never a sub-boss, but I still think she's a very strong character, and remember, this could be a younger, crazier version of her that we have never seen before. I have a feeling that Sindel will return as well, mainly because she is a fan favorite, but I could also see her being a good enemy to go after the friends of Raiden that are trying to save him. I also expect them to bring back a few of the 3D era characters back. I think a combination of Shujenko, Taven, or Dagon are likely shoo-ins for MK11. And while I don't have reason to expect this, I think that Fujin may return, first to try to turn Nightwolf and Kung Lao back from being revenants, and will then enlist their aid to try and save Dark Raiden. Now, there are a few characters that I do not expect to be in the game, and those are Sonya, Johnny Cage, and Jax. With the inclusion of Cassie and Jackie, I honestly see their parents being somewhat irrelevant at this point. Don't get me wrong, I love them as characters, but it's just how I see it. Also, the arcade endings, I know are not normally canon, but Jax was killed off in both Sonya's and his own arcade endings, so I definitely don't think he's coming back. Now, while this may piss off some of you, there are a few characters I actually don't want to see as playable characters in the game, mostly because if we have to pay for additional DLC characters, we're basically paying for every character, and I don't want to see a slot taken up by a character that I feel is a joke or isn't fleshed out too well. The first character on this list is Bo Raicho. I expect him to be in the story mode, and honestly, while the drunken style of fighting is one of my favorites because it looks so fluid and is clumsy yet so dangerous, I just hate the fact that he's vomiting and farting all over the place. It's just embarrassing to see. I think Mocap and Meat are joke characters, so I don't want to see them in, and I also don't want to see Stryker in the game. And while I actually don't mind his moves and stuff, I actually like playing him in MK9, he's just a New York City cop. Like, fuck that. He's not some esteemed warrior or have any kind of powers. He's really just a normal, kind of fairly uninspired dude. I'm sorry if that pisses you off. It's just, my opinion. Now for the characters that I would love to see of the game. First of all, any character I mentioned as a character I expect to be in the game, I do actually want to see in it. I'd also love to see Noob Saibot. I loved him in the older games, but I really liked him after I found out he was Bihan. I didn't really know that until MK9, to be honest. If you don't know who Bihan is, he's the original Sub-Zero. If you don't know that there was an original and a younger Sub-Zero, then, there's a lot of canon you need to get caught up with. Anyways, this backstory of Noob Saibot just adds so much to him, and I love his moveset and how he plays. I also hope that Jade and Human Smoke return, as does Cabal, who honestly has been one of my favorite characters in any game that he's in. I'd love to see Frost return, but more as a rushdown focused character to make her more different than Sub-Zero, as well, as if she's a less patient rushdown style character. That just seems like it would fit her personality better, so I think it would be a good fit for her. I also hope that Kenshi, Melina, Reptile, Baraka, Ermac, and Rain all return. All of these characters are really cool and I think add a lot of depth to the roster. Unfortunately, I feel like NRS treats some of them, especially Reptile, Baraka, Ermac, and Rain, as some weak-ass jobbers, and I hope that's not an indication of how NRS really sees them. These are not disposable characters and should not be treated as such. I'd also like to see Aaron Black return, as he was my favorite newcomer in MKX. I'd like to see Hotaru from the 3D games, as well as Motaro, who I think would look sick with this engine. I suspect we'll also get quite a few new characters, which I'm always really excited for. MK rarely lets me down in character design, so I'm happy to see what new type of character they'll come up with. Now for the touchy subject, guest characters. Some people absolutely love guest characters, and some people absolutely hate them. You cannot deny the ability they have to draw in more people into the game, but at the same time, which classic MK character could have been added instead? I think it really comes down to who the guest character is and which classic character is not in the game. This varies between every person, honestly. Regardless, I am sure MK11 will have at least 4 guest characters, hopefully not much more than that. We have had a few posts on Twitter recently that alluded to 2 of them. Now, these could very well be trolling posts, but these 2 characters are also guest characters that have been requested for since MK brought in guest characters. The first hinted at guest character was Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise. A week or 2 after Halloween 2018 came out, Ed Boon released a tweet stating that he, and I quote, "just learned that the most recent Halloween movie is the 11th one. Obviously, this is MK11 and NRS is not shy of adding horror movie characters into their games, and truthfully, I hope this is true, because Michael Myers is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. I've watched all of the Halloween movies multiple times. except for Resurrection and the second Rob Zombie movie, as those only deserve to have one watch through. But I'm just a huge fan of the series. If Michael Myers is in the game, there is a good possibility that I'm maining him no matter what. I just hope his walk speed isn't too slow. We all know that he's not a runner. The second hinted at, or outright confirmed guest character is Spawn. Just 2 days ago, actually, someone on a Todd McFarlane AMA asked him if he would let Spawn be in MK11, and Todd McFarlane's response back was, "I believe he's on his way." That's a pretty big deal. I'm sure this isn't the first time you heard this by now, but I do think Spawn would fit very well into an MK game, and he's been requested a lot. You know, again, it could just be a huge troll, and none of these characters, you know, Michael Myers or Spawn, will see MK11, but, you know, we'll see. Anyways, so if those are true, we have 2 guest characters left. With It Chapter 2 scheduled to release in September 2019, I think Pennywise is a likely candidate, and honestly, I think he could be a really cool and unique character. The possibilities with him are endless, but it could also be a challenge to give him the attacks that he deserves. As for who the last guest character is, I really have no idea. There's way too many possibilities, so I'll just come back to that one later on. And finally, I have one more wish regarding characters in this game, but this time it's an unplayable character. I would really like them to bring back hidden characters into the arcade tower, and by hidden characters I mean like a completely new, unplayable character. Honestly, going through the hoops and challenges to get my ass beat by them in the original games was something that brought me back to the arcade mode repeatedly. I think it really adds a lot of longevity to the single player modes, and I'd love to see them bring back at least one. It's been way too long. If they do, my only wish is that they're hard to reach, they're very hard to beat, and that if you lose, you cannot select a rematch. These are the features of the original hidden characters that made them so special. Alright, well that's really all I have for this episode. If you disagree with anything I said, or if you want to share your roster predictions and or wishes with me, then please let me know on Twitter at @plusframes_, and I'll discuss it on my next episode. If you have any feedback for how I can improve, please let me know, because I really want the show to be great, and I won't know if you don't let me know. Also, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes Podcast and leave a review if you're up for it. Have a good one and keep playing. See you next time.